Hi guys, this is Allison from Allykatkreations. How are you? Please share and subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already. And if you get anything from my work, a connect the dot, an epiphany, a mind-blown moment, a new book to read, a new author to explore, please support my work. All the links are at the bottom of this description. Hi, everybody. I haven't done a video in 2 days. Oh, I did an oracle reading today. So for 9/11, just for people's understanding, I was in the city that day. I saw it happen. I'm not here to contest what or what didn't happen that day, but I was there. And I know a lot of people who lost loved ones, family members, friends. So I usually take 9/11 off so that I can be in spirit, because I'm not in New York anymore. But to be holding space for people, if they need to talk or go over things with me, I leave myself free that day so that we can do that. I have a lot of people I know that was directly affected. So I just want to put that one out there. And then yesterday I wasn't home most of the day. Today, the Schumann spiked and I was in a frenzy of creativity. I got this done. It's thick. Big heart. I made this for a fellow patriot, fluid poor patriot. That's for him. And I made this. This was another thing that I had in a mold that I didn't finish before I moved. So I finished that. And this is a ring holder. This little guy. And then I'm trying out keychains with different things in there, but I didn't know what was going to fit. So I just did some test drives. Simple keychainy kind of gems. I'm probably going to do flowers. This one came out cool. So I sit here and use my tools. Yeah, so I was busy prepping all of that yesterday, finishing it off. I have a lot of work that I started today. Love the Schumann resonance energy. When I get that energy, I get spikes of creativity and I just don't stop. And that kind of happened yesterday morning, and then I was called to save the day, as I usually do. So I saved the day. Okay, it's a little chilly. Alien Gray Agenda, The Council of Seven Lights by George Van Tassel. We're back at it with chapter 2. And for those who are new to my channel, thank you so much for subscribing, for liking, for sharing my content. I can't thank people enough. I'm in this really weird position in life, and I'm just here trying to get everybody out of a one book paradigm. Oddly enough, people are like, well, don't discount the Bible. Go look up the Council of Nicaea. Not that, listen, whatever you resonate is what you resonate with, and I'm not here to dispute that with you. I just want to impart that everybody should have at least an open mind to material. George's Bible that he reads, just like everybody else, his perception is different, and you're allowed to have another perception, just to open your mind up and expand in consciousness, however that gets done. Everybody's different. So please take what I'm saying to you, not as to hold on to this paradigm, but to understand you should go and do the work within. Go within yourself and see what resonates with you, because not everything I resonate are you going to resonate with. That's the beauty of this world. It's a perception. We're all entitled to have it. It's to have grace and understanding that we're all able to perceive the world that we do, but know that we all have to come together because we are technically one, and kind of vibe high in wherever paradigm you believe in, coming together and making all the wrongs right. And that doesn't need that much complication. So just want to get that out of the way. So get a lot of comments about stuff. But I love comments, and please keep going. Chapter 2, Invisible Gears. Densities, my favorite word, are the levels or grades through which creation progresses. I agree. Thought is the activating force. I am also in agreement with that. Thought is the image of the creative intelligence. Progression is a reward for effort expanded in creative thought. Through thought, the creator established a pattern through which all things must pass. The people of the earth and this solar system are all in the same boat at present. There are various levels or decks in this space boat. There are visible partitions between these different levels. The first class passengers in this solar boat are not the wealthy people nor the intellectuals of the system. The steerage is not occupied by the poor or the illiterate. Everything in this boat is mixed up. The creator didn't make it this way. The mix-up is due to the doings of man. Earth people are dominated by individual and mass ego. Nearly everyone thinks he is better than others. And I'm going to put a pause here. Because the last spiritual soul advice that I did, I was channeling, so I didn't really keep on my usual flow of points. I just was like all over the place because I was getting an in-stream of that. But bringing up ego here, ego is not a bad thing, and it isn't a good thing. Ego helps us keep this vehicle alive. At the same time, what I'm noticing in the collective, when I'm a moderator on a lot of channels, I am watching shows all the time. When I see a lot of people start arguing and start trying to get the last word in, your ego is trying to say, well, no, I'm right, and this is my perception, and I'm right. Nah, poo-poo. Okay, and this is like the older people doing it. Why do you need the last word in? Why are you expending your energy that way? No one is above or below anybody. And that goes for any human in any position on this planet. We are all human, most of us. Even the background people at best still are here with us. And we have to treat them as equals to us, to the CEO, to the custodian, to the very, very homeless person on the street. Everybody holds a value. You're no better than anybody else. Your situation in life is no better than anybody else. And people devalue others by saying, well, someone has it worse than you. Well, someone has it better than me. Stop comparing. Stop dividing. Metaphysics. When we learn how to deprogram that ego that comes out in the negative way, we'll be a way better for it for humanity. Not to say that you shouldn't have an ego. I believe we should have an ego. I believe it's how you intend and project your ego that makes a huge difference in society. No one's perfect either, and we're all on different levels of learning, and we're all sometimes having to go back and clear the shadow self we did 5 years ago, and now that little asshole's peeping back in, and you got to go back and figure out what you didn't heal of that aspect of yourself. Things will pop out. People's projections will pop out. It's up to them to catch their mistake or their misdoing or their miswording and apologize, or at least say, oops, I didn't mean to come off that way. Or if that felt that way, that, you know, when you type, you're not seeing a person's expression. But I need to get that out because it's very important. Because a lot of this is of our doing. It might not be our generational doing, but we're here to undo everything. Many of us. Earth people are dominated by individual and mass ego. Nearly everyone thinks he is better than others. No progression is upward, and when one looks down on another, he must lower himself to see the other. When one sees the good in others, he automatically rises himself. The Creator established densities to control these conditions. The third density, where these things exist in the triangle of confusion, is about all finished. Humans on Earth are going to have to conform to the requirements of fourth density or take this grade over again. He's not alone in saying this. Dolores Cannon says this. She's a huge proponent of this. The Law of One, Ra, was channeled, says this. This is said in multiple platitudes on so many different varied books. This says this, and I agree with this. I resonate with this. I believe, though, that not all souls that are here, reincarnated here in the now, are meant to graduate right now. Think about Atlantis. There was some factions that ascended, they graduated. And then there was a lot of us who already had gone through Lemuria, Atlantis, Mu, all of these stages, and we got ourselves wiped out. And again, it's no one person's fault, it's a collective's fault. So here we are. All of us came back into incarnation to learn again third density from scratch. And we came back, and here we are now on the next ascending point, the next Atlantis 2.0. We're here right now. And many of us who had lived back then are here to hold a frequency and to make sure that we can go and ascend. There are souls like that are what our old selves that were in Atlantis that didn't get to ascend, that they're here now learning what we are doing. So when they come back to this point again, when they get there remembering, they go. And some of us who were from Atlantis are having those very memories again of, I remember that. And oh, we can't repeat that. So we're putting the frequency out so things don't manifest. to our detriment. So there are going to be people here right in this time frame who are not meant to move up. They're meant to absorb and to understand what is happening right now, because when they come and they redo that whole third density cycle again, and they get to this point, they're going to be able to ascend. It's a cycle. And then there's people who just have yet to learn the soul growth that they need to in order to get into fourth density. There's levels of things, there's laws of the universe that you must fulfill, and your contract with source, you must fulfill a large chunk of it in order to even get to the next level. And this is said throughout different varied books. So check out Dolores Cannon's work and check out the Law of One. It says it there. The requirement to pass is to live the golden rule, not to profess it or expect others to live it, but to live it individually, as you are only responsible for yourself. And that is absolutely true. Why I keep saying, only take what resonates with you. What I resonate with isn't what you might resonate with. You know, people are like, oh, well, I resonate with that book. There's not that doesn't mean you're bad or good, right? That just means you were resonating. Your fractal of soul is resonating with the book. That's beautiful. Nothing wrong with that. You're an individual. You have your own perceptions. You're playing a first player game. And source is your control. We're in The Sims, if you think about it like that. The drawing represents one of the flowers of the universe. The Vela sector system is only one of the creator's thoughts. There are 12 densities in the system we occupy, and others will say there's 15. Well, 12 densities and dimensions. The numbers are skewed depending on who you read. Each of these is divided into 12 major cycles. Each major cycle is divided into 12 minor cycles. When a solar system moves out of one density into another, it is called a master cycle. The solar system that we are in is now in the arc between the third and fourth densities. And he was writing this in 53. So just imagine we're still there. For the planet Earth in this solar system, this is the time of times. The Earth is culminating a minor cycle, a major cycle, and a master cycle all at the same time. This will bring about a rebalancing of the planet on new poles, which Allison, keep saying that's an alien gray agenda. Because if you look at other gray work, they always talk about this extreme pole shift, which would take and wipe us out. Yes, poles magnetically are going to shift, and they have been shifting slowly. I'm not saying they're never going to switch. No, they're doing it slowly. Not some we dead. That's what the grays want, is we're dead. When this occurs, the great earthquake written in Revelations will take place. The first density for the Earth was when the planet was only supported vegetation. The Earth's rotational speed, this is why I can only read certain parts of the book, was such that only gigantic vegetation with a germination temperature of around 110 degrees Fahrenheit could survive. No, I don't perceive flat or globe. I perceive toroidal. That's just me. You could perceive what goes on. But People on flat earth theory have a lot of strong arguments that can't, if we're spinning, how is the water, and they can't say gravity, flat? How is an airplane not nosediving to get to its destination? How's a helicopter hovering in one spot and it lands in the same spot? If it was spinning, they would be landing in another spot. There's a lot to it. It's mind-boggling. Think about the indoctrination that we've been through and what we were programmed to believe. And people that say they've been abducted, you're seeing the firmament that is spherical. When the earth passed through the arc, or overlap between the first and second densities, it rebalanced on new poles and the massive vegetation became our coal beds of today. As soon as the earth had stabilized in the second density, the space people landed animals on the planet. This has been handed down from the ancient records as the story of Noah and the ark. Maybe. The germination temperature in the second density was 104 degrees. The animals that lived in the second density were also large. They were of the mastodon and dinosaur types. The reason they became extinct when the planet passed from the second into the third density was because the germination temperature in third density was around 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit. Many of the carcasses of these large animals are discovered today from the glaciers of Siberia. The area was tropical in the second density, and the arc of Spey, when the earth rebalanced on new poles, the animal with a germination temperature of 104 degrees Fahrenheit could not reproduce in a temperature of 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit. One can argue that. I get it. After the large animals became extinct, the space people of the Atomic Confederation landed a colony of the race of man on Earth. It was through the meeting of these atomic man people with the race of Eve, upright walking animals of high second density development that survived the cataclysm in the Ark of Spey. Maybe. That brought about the humans of the earth. This was the beginning of human people in the third density on the earth. The race of Eve became extinct except for the animal flesh contribution and destructive tendencies of humans. I disagree. Humans cannot reproduce in the fourth density and will become extinct as the animal man merges in the first 100 years, as fourth density germination temperature will be around 90 degrees Fahrenheit. The humans that survive through the cataclysm of the coming polar flip agenda will gradually die off. The fourth density is not for the destructive principles or humans. Those who do not conform to the requirements to emerge will be reincarnated back into the 12th phase of the third density on another planet and have to live through this mess again. And that is actually in the Law of One. And a couple of intuits have seen this. The caveat here, though, is that there are some documentation that in fourth density, you're not doing the nasty. You still do the nasty, but you're not creating life that way. It's attuning your chakra system to another's and then emerging light. something like that. I've seen some documents. I don't remember and recall which ones, but I'm sure Jason Q has them, because a lot of his stuff and my stuff correspond in that regard. But again, the flip. This is a great agenda, and you want to see living proof. There are people, and again, this is wrong, right? We don't know what's going to happen. Free will, and also like the veil, like I'm going to talk to my medium tomorrow. I'm going to ask a lot of you very, very, very in-depth questions of my higher self. Regardless of that, go to Telegram and look like the Zeta stuff, the Zeta Grays. That's their plan, is to flip the poles, like flip, not gradual, flip. And it says right here, mic drop, Jason Q. Because we have disagreements all the time. The densities alternate polarity and therefore rotation. The drawing shows them as viewed from the top, looking at their maximum circumference. There is like drawings in here somewhere, but it's not in this section. So I would flip the book to show you if there were, but they're not. An edgewise view would show them as spirals, one with the apex up and the next with the apex down. Our solar system is about to pass out of the maximum circumference of third density into the minimum circumference of fourth density. The Earth will then rotate nearly 370 days in a year. Do not confuse densities with dimensions. Densities are pressures established in changing frequencies of vibration. Densities are measurements. Dimensions are measurements. I agree with the densities. Dimensions are way more trickier than measurements. I think that's just the easier way to understand it. Some have mixed up dimension and density. Time is not measurable in the absolute. Time can be phased in density and move backward or forward. However, it can only be done through the 0 point between polarities. As our solar system moves through space, a progression is into an ever-increasing frequency of vibrations. This is true. Each solar system and every planet must evolve through grades, even as babies learn to crawl before they walk. So if you read Elena Denon, she talks about Valiant Thor coming from Venus, but Venus, like the densities changed because they're of a high frequenting vibratory state of beings. They are able to live on Venus, where what perception we see Venus today, unless you're looking at the Nos Confunded map. I see a fly. And I don't have my tennis racket of death with me. Unfortunately, I had to leave my back door open because I'm working with canvas, spray paint, and installation foam. It's fun stuff. So, of course, I am going to have flies in my house. Fun! So a lot of what I'm looking through and kind of skipping is like a diagram that I don't quite resonate with, but I don't comprehend too well. And it talks about all this like lineage and stuff that I mean, a very brilliant guy and going just through different things. I just don't quite grasp what he's trying to convey. And a lot of that is what I'm trying to skip through. Each form of life in the first density contributes substance to every other form of life on all material or negative levels. All densities of life contribute to the progression of every form of life in densities beneath them. All forms of substance are alive in repetitive patterns for their particular species. Thus, substance through life repeats its cycles from dust to dust. Life is the carrier progression in its eternal and endless spiral. Thus, the stages are positive or negative or both when they are balanced. And for the fact that I don't want to get banned, look at the symbols. The spiral of life, also called caduceus, is symbolized by two serpents. The negative, receptive, or female is only given desire by its opposite. The positive, projective, or male counterpart, vice versa. These symbols are not zigzag in form, they are spiral. They are centered and separate by the staff of life, around which they twine each other upward through the infinite intelligence. I'm skipping around. I do, and those of you who are new, I do skip around. It's a lot. It's a lot. He writes really good stuff, but it's a lot. You, as part of the eternal pattern of life in form, give to the animal substance the ability to express and recognize the spirit. Although all forms of life progress within their own densities, much confusion has been started by the theorists who try to tie the densities together. Darwin tried to show the evolution of man from the apes. There is no missing link except breeding. As our solar system has progressed through space, it crossed on August 20th, 1953, from the third density to the fourth density. Our planet has emerged from the frequency of third density. Everything on this planet must now begin to conform to this higher frequency pattern. And until CERN went off on 2012. We are on the verge of witnessing a cyclic planetary house cleaning, and we're here now. All things in the solar system are going to be brought into balance. The space people of the Adamic race, serving as agents of God, have through the centuries followed a pattern of cycles in bringing their qualified teachers to the people of Earth. Approximately every 2,100 years, or 2,100 years, the spacecraft of the space people have landed one of their divine mothers on Earth to give birth to a true son of God. As far as the records go, they have been virgin mothers. Implanted. Let's really think about that right now. If he's proposing that the space people bring a mother down, and seeded or implanted Yeshua, that could really be a possibility. I take the law of one stance on Yeshua than I do this, but it's plausible. This is why we like to have open conversation and think different perspectives. That could be something to think about. Just like women get abducted and then get seeded, they didn't have sex, they got implanted with alien DNA. And some mothers were able to have hybrid children. It isn't unthinkable. He goes into a projection room, and what do we behold? How to crossbreed human DNA with alien. It's not unheard of. It's just people don't want to think about that. During the last major cycle, the space people landed 12 teachers. 12, not just one. The teacher called Jesus was the 12th and the last of the sons of God. In the major cycle, the policy is always to return the last teacher of each major cycle to begin the next cycle. Excuse me. The importance of today is emphasized by the fact that we are not only on the pinnacle of a minor cycle, but also amidst a major and a master cycle at the same time. This brings about a balancing of planetary forces that the space people call the Father's house cleaning among his planets. However, in the Bible, it is called the time of the great earthquake. Noah walked with God because he was one of the space people who came to earth in the Ark of Noah. In the Bible, Noah is confused with Noah. Noah was a man. Noah was the Ark of Noah. It was in the Ark of Noah that the animals were brought to earth. The space people landed the various animals that could survive in the second density germination temperature. Plausible. Of course, there was a flood during the time of the Ark of Noah. The Bible is correct when it said all the water was in the firmament, in the first density. That was why the vegetation was so thick in the first density. The moisture would condense and water the vegetation at night and rise as fog in the daytime. When the earth flipped on its poles in the Ark of Noah, the rotational speed changed the new temperature of the earth being less. The waters condensed and fell from the atmosphere and flooded the land. Sorry, guys, I got the worst itch in the worst part of my back ever. I mean, if you listen to Jason Brashears about the water canopy, it sounds like this. So he might be onto his research, might be leading on to something with the water canopy. So the story in the Bible of the ark and the animal cargo is badly twisted version of a man on a boat. The size of the biblical ark is given as 300 cubits long, 50 cubits wide, 30 cubits high, about 525 feet by 80 feet wide by 53 feet high. Imagine caging a pair of each kind of living thing in an area that large. And don't forget, they need sufficient food carried to feed them for 40 days. Then the story gets further off. They confuse the accurate ancient records with another ark. This was when the Bible story puts Noah's sons in the same boat. The animals were landed in the Ark of Noah between the first and second densities. 312,000 years later, Ham, Shem, and Japheth were landed on Earth between the second and third densities in the Ark of Spey. Noah's sons were not individuals either. The race of Ham were the black people. The race of Shem were white people, and the race of Japheth were the yellow people. The various tribes that descended from three original colors of people that were colonized on Earth by space people is listed in Genesis chapter 10. Each race is pure in its own color, and the universal laws reads, each seed after its own kind. In all the creations on Earth, each flower, tree, animal, and all nature follows the law, except humans who were given the right to choose. Humans were given the intelligence to raise themselves, yet humans are the only creatures that violate this law. Now, if you go to Ashiana Ding's work, similar context, but there's more to that, is the orders. And that is not just yellow. What is yellow? Jaundice people? Brown, red, meaning in Native American copper color or Aboriginal. They forgot that in the text. It wasn't 3, there was 5 that seeded the planet. Human races, 3, 5 lineages, including black, white. Yellow, I would consider Asian. And Asia, that's a huge plethora of people. Asia's humongous. Five. You're missing different delineations of things. And they are at one time blue avians. CG. Well, I made that term up. I have my opinion about that man. I feel very sorry for him. He's controlled. But there is blue aliens. Multiple races, in fact. And those who wrote the Upanishads and the Vedas knew all too well who their gods were. And they were a part of who came here. 5. Now he's channeling. Oh man, though I am one, I am also many. Though I center the individual light of each of you, you also are the one of me. I live each sensation. I live every expression. I am the motion of thee, O man. Consider each thing you do to me. For when you strike one of my parts, I feel the blow. And when you cast a thought of love, I absorb the love of you, and I return it too. When idle mind leads thee to tear the reputation of another down, you only have lowered your thought of me, and in turn have lowered yourself. Realize that I am always with you, always the silent, unseen companion to your every action, the recipient of your every thought. I love to express myself through you in ways that bring me joy, in paths that reach the hearts in gratitude. Help me to express the oneness of each of us, that I may center all my parts in unity of me and thee in harmony and love, that none shall know the pain and sorrow and heartbreak you did express yourself. I gave thee light of life that you might extend my action, that others might feel the joy of me, that are in darkness bent, who are trouble blinded and cannot see that I am there. Extend the progress I have brought into being by lifting up another, that I may feel the twofold expression expressed in grateful thanks. Though I am stillness, my parts all move in me. My rest is in contrast, or motion could not be. Extremes establish the boundaries beyond which man cannot go. Though I am boundless, man is bound in being of me, in individuality. Man I have created so I may extend myself through motion of the parts of me, so I will not be bound within the stillness of my infinity. Sage drop. Take that all in. It's everything that I express about Source. So again, I don't resonate with their agenda, but there is things in here that I do agree with. That his channeling, I agree with. Because it's not coming from the stuff. And that's okay if you don't agree. Chapter 3, the sons of God. The sun, S-U-N. The sun is an evolved planet in its progressive state of becoming space. An expanding universe must have something to expand from. The sun is not becoming smaller by combustion, fission, or fusion. It is growing larger by digestion of matter it encounters in the line of primary light energy. Black hole. The sun gives off only a very small percentage of the energy it is thus acquiring. Matter or mass cannot give off but only a small percentage of its actual total potential energy, even in the framed atomic bombs, which need to be stable to blow up. The energy given off by any fuel or matter is always less than the substance which went into its making. Why is this? The answer is because mind also went into the making of all created things. Truth. Mind is neutral. Mind cannot give off energy. It can only direct the flow and action of energy. Universal mind permeates all things. Each person uses the mind of God according to his or her ability to get into it deeper. All things that are or ever will be already exist in universal mind. None can penetrate into the universal mind beyond their own acquired capability. On the other hand, God cannot do more for you than you are capable of doing for yourself by directing universal mind. It gives this diagram. As my camera keeps tilting, going crazy banana nuts. I'm not going to read all of this, but I'm going to read little sections. When scientists discover the core of the proton in an atom is square, then they will realize that the body in the sun is also square. The cubic minerals in their crystallized state are all neutral polarity on a negative surface, such as the Earth. They can be brought into polarity, however, the exposure of light, pressure, or charging. The sunspots are discharges of secondary magnetic electrostatic force released into the atmosphere and photosphere by rotating corners of the square core body. This discharges are magnetic exhaust effects common to any body in motion. They appear black to Earth telescopes because they hide the effect of fusion taking place between the positive photosphere and the negative actosphere. Sorry, guys. That positive photosphere to the positive sun body is the equivalent of the negative atmosphere to the negative Earth body. They each carry the same polarity as the body which they surround. The fact that the rotational period of the sun appears to be different speeds at different latitudes is due to the spiral effects of primary light energy losing speed in its travel to the poles. The apparent 10-day differential in rotation between the equator of the sun and its poles is only observed in the force field of the atmosphere. If he would only take into account that there are so many patents for a solar simulator. Truman Show anybody? Truman Show. Truman Show anybody? And again, this is just my perspective. I've seen the patents. Where's heat rises? Where's the heat coming from? There's a lot more inner workings that I will settle tomorrow with my higher self. But again, if you were to just take that globe theory, yeah, this works. And again, no one is right or wrong. It's all perception. And there's a lot of people that have contested that everybody's paradigm is different and no one person's paradigm is wrong or right. It's perception. Allergies. All unbalanced negative bodies are absorbing light. Cubes are unbalanced positive bodies. Negative bodies are unbalanced spheres. Each can contain or be a part of the other as long as one polarity is predominant. The predominant polarity will determine whether the object is spherical or cubical in shape. Astronomers state that the light from some of the stars is coming from so many hundreds and thousands of light years away that the star could be burned out and the light would still be visible on the Earth. This is predicted on the idea that the light is still traveling after the emitting body is no longer there. This is erroneous. If the stars were not still emitting light and were not there, you could not see it. Telescopes and eyes do not see. There are only a system of lenses through which light passes. The mind sees. You can picture things you have experienced in the mind with your eyes closed. The same infinite light of intelligent mind centers every atom, star, planet, and manifested being. When astronomers look through a telescope or people observe without one, anything you can see is there, the instant infinite light of universal mind that centers you, and what your mind sees cannot record or vision something that is not there. He just kind of debunked everything he just wrote before that. Negative physical vision only records to the negative physical brain the illusion that the sun is round. All that is limited physical vision is recording the effect of secondary light emissions from the force field infusion around the sun. Physical negative vision can only see reflected positive light from another negative body, or negative light reflected from another positive body. That actosphere, being of negative polarity, is spherical. Therefore, the negative physical vision records it as a ball of fire, were it not for the activation of the sun actosphere by the positive and negative lines of primary light energy, you would not see the sun at all with physical vision. Here's a little channeling. Though I scatter my seeds of light throughout my garden of space, I determine which shall grow to be a star and which shall be represent my image. Though all my seeds are light of me, each brings about a pattern, individual, and destiny of my doing. Though in the scattering of my seeds, some may fall on barren soil, The segregation is within the knowing which shall bear fruit. For in the essence of my wisdom, I breathe not the breath of life, that all my seed shall grow at once. Rather do I select them that I may express myself each moment throughout eternal time. And though my seed are pure in light and love of me, I know all shall not grow to bring about the fruit in perfection. For unto each seed I render individuality and right to choose. Oh man, oh mortal man, my oneness I bring about in individuality that I may scatter my parts and express myself. Though all things I create in balance opposites, I remain the centering spectator. Though I have made my gender two, though my polarity is divided, I test my strength on my right and my left. Though man has chosen to further separate my expressions of love, though man has chosen to divide the roads to me, though man has brought self-interest into my expression, I still maintain the balance centering my interchange of powers. If one should sit on my right hand in the love of me, I shall balance that love upon my left hand in equality. I cast out barriers to face the beings of you, that I may temper all my parts. Though I have given all alike from thought of me, many cannot reach the door that guides their destiny to paths unfurled in light. And though they lose their way in darkness, seeking, I retrieve the whole and cast my mold again, never losing any single portion. For I am soul of thee, O man, and light and darkness too. And though my light and right extends through all eternity, I back the light with darkness. The recognition may be yours. Someone's thinking about me. Energy and matter are opposite poles of the same thing. Matter can be converted into energy, but always with mass loss. Energy in being converted to matter will always register a gain. The fact that a celestial bodies are conversions to matter of energy is solution in space is evident by their different densities. Scientists have assumed that if a rocket could be propelled outside of the Earth's gravity, it would coast on its momentum indefinitely. This is based on the assumption that space is void. If space were void, no system would hold its bodies relative to each other in their orbits. The time field of the sun establishes a zero field of time relative to the planet's opposition of hemispherical polarities. The opposition of the Earth's polarities relative to the energy charge of its mass is what establishes its position in the solar system. A small planet can be of greater density than a larger one. Its composition of the elements may be such, however, that its charge relative to its mass may be less. The time field of the Earth is at the magnetic equator. At the Earth's surface, it is narrowed down to about the thickness of a razor blade. Surface land is of greater magnetic potential than the oceans. The Earth's magnetic equator, therefore, will be inclined to veer toward the magnetic landmass. This wave is the magnetic equator stabilizes as it recedes from the surface. And then he goes back to a chart. The positive and negative lines of force fill space with matter in solution. Being in solution, it must be termed energy because it is not condensed by polarity predominance. The time field ends at the outer limit of the Earth's force field. If it were possible to alter the time field by changing it relative to the Earth's magnetic equator, we could direct the planet's course out of the solar system or cause it to assume another orbit elsewhere in the system. The spacecraft are controlled in their travel by oscillating the time field with thought force, causing the positive and negative fields to move the ship's mass relative to the direction of the lines of primary energy. Earth scientists do not understand negative electrical currents or fields. As the positive lines of force manifest results through conductors, the negative currents and fields can only be activated through non-conductors. The only true insulation that will separate the opposite polarities of fields is time. The Earth's people only register time because the planet rotates in orbits. They assume that time goes by. Time is infinite. And all the people on the planet can register is the revolving planet passing through time. The people are in motion on the planet, so they assume that time is in motion. Actually, they are moving through time with no visible means of registering the stillness of time. If time ever moves, it will cause everything in the universe to collide, and all condensed energy or matter would go back into solution in space. When the scientists try to push a rocket through space by brute force, instead of going with the currents of primary energy carrying matter in solution in space, they will discover the matter in solution energy or space is anything but void. The spacecraft can move through our dense lower atmosphere at many thousands of miles per hour because they bring their own space with them. The force field around each ship does not allow our air to enter the field. Consequently, the ship does not get hot by friction. The ship, instead of its own force field, is protected by the field from debris in space, from air in density, and from sound shock waves. As no sound can penetrate through the field, they travel silently through our skies, except at very low speeds or when hovering. They transmit a humming, throbbing tone. The field increases its resistance and strength when the speed of the ship increases. Space is infiltrated with debris. No principle of rocket-propelled missiles or ships is practicable outside of our Earth's force field. As rockets do not create a protective field around themselves, some of the debris, from the size of grains of rice to rocks larger than buildings, are traveling at speeds of hundreds of miles per second. Our space operates in a self-generated magnetic field. Meteorites do not burn out in our atmosphere because they encounter oxygen. They disintegrate in the Earth's protective field of force. If the meteorite is negatively charged, it disintegrates in the positively charged strata of the force field. Our spacecraft, the Earth, operates in a field vortex of the sun. The Earth is a combination battery, generator, and motor. Our atmosphere serves as a brush, a field, and a bearing. Our heat comes from our dense surface atmosphere. Our heat doesn't come from the sun. The only reason we feel more heat on the side toward the sun is because the positive sun causes a brush effect in our negative surface atmosphere. The crust commutator, is warmed from resistance and friction, while both rotating the planet as a motor and generating the force field. Gravity is not attraction nor magnetism. Gravity is a resistance pressure brought about in all objects, bodies, or substances by the lines of force penetrating them through the center of the Earth. Since the negative lines of force move faster than the positive lines, a negative body will always rotate counterclockwise from one viewpoint, and a positively charged body will rotate clockwise from the same viewpoint. The measurable speed of positive or negative lines of light energy will vary with the orbit of any planet. Measurements of light energy of positive polarity will conform to the orbit diameter of any given planet. Measurements of negative polarized light energy will exceed the orbit diameter. Negative light energy cannot be accurately measured from the surface of a negatively charged planet, such as Earth. When the atmosphere of negative nature, such as the Earth's, is balanced by positive charges from fusion particles, it will cause moisture in the atmosphere to pile up at one magnetic pole and recede from the opposite polarity pole. It will cause a change in the planet's rotation speed, and due to the germination temperature change, the eventual extinction of life forms that conform to the germination temperature, as excess of positively charged particles in the negative atmosphere will cause a planet to seek balance on new poles. Influences of negative nature lead the minds of humans to try to bring about positive effects. When these positive effects exceed the balance of natural negative charges on a negative planet, then the planet will rebalance itself to conform to the light lines of force. Man is mostly space, filled with substance and form. The body does not derive energy from the food assimilated by it. The food is only transformed to become a conductor for light energy passing through the body. Power is only manifested through motion. Controlled power is that which is given direction. The discovery of the wheel gave mankind the means to an endless track of motion. Universal power throughout infinite space is demonstrated in the guided motion of all planets, moons, suns, galaxies, and nebulae. None of these are haphazardly flying through space uncontrolled. Their course, orbit, rotation, and separation are maintained by precise interchange of relative power. All bodies in space are motored by primary light energy. Solar emanations and atomic energy are secondary powers or effects of the primary light energy in motion. The cross, in one shape or another, has always been the symbol of spiritual power. Scientifically, the spiritual power is unseen power. Spiritual power can only be understood when it is manifest in the seen effect. Truth. This seen effect may be either in the range of the physical vision or outside of the physical limits. Primary light energy functions in many unlimited conditions and frequencies above and below the limits of physical vision. Everything in space that orbits, rotates, or manifests motion as direction is powered by primary light energy. Wherever a body interrupts the lines of primary light, motion is affected. This is immutable law. Within the human body is a universe in miniature. The axis of every crystal, atom, planet, or person is centered in unseen light of unlimited extent. The manifested boundaries or surface of any of these are insulated from all others of like polarity. The external existence of all of these is encompassed within the center of the axis. The cross is the symbol of power of the opposite polarities. By interrupting primary lines of positive and negative light energy, a differential is established. By phasing the differential, control power is established in motion. This is the long-hidden secret of the Maltese cross. Mal means negative tongues of flame or static electricity. T's means interchange, two and one, or differential between. When the differential between the positive and negative forces of light energy are controlled by phasing, they result in unlimited power through motion. If the motion exceeds the differential phase, disintegration will result. Electricity is a byproduct of magnetism. Gravity is the resistant pressure set up by the opposition of differential between the causal light energy and the effect magnetism. The last channeling for today. Though I have set the patterns of my doing all about you, yet you see them not. I scatter seeds of light. I cast the shadows man calls day, and shadows of the shadows men calls night in repetition. I have paved the way for man to see. Has not my pattern stood the test to build another bird, a nest again, where others were before? Cannot you see, O man of me, do I, as I say, do as I do? Do as I cause the way to be within your understanding of the me in thee. Look to the pattern all around, the fragrance of the essence of my love in flowers you have found, and in the cool beneath the tree, there I am. To comfort you, and yet you question parts of me. Throughout my being, I made thee man to carry on, to take the stand in my defense, to build the wall, to scale the fence of destiny, not to follow the whims of chance along the side, not to fall beneath the wheels of hate and fear that others may ride in comfort. Only look, feel the essence of my being, absorb me in the breeze, reach me in the sun. My heart is warm, you are the one. Never have I set a pattern to lead you all astray. Any fear you feel, oh man, you make along the way to me, and your arrival is delayed. Your stage is set, the curtain must come down, but only to go up again. My pattern is eternity. Repetition is the grade that leads to me, oh man. From the harvest of my golden grain, I separate the chaff. I break the bonds of freedom, lest man shall undo my works. I bring about a change in cycles, so my balance shall not be disturbed. For when my laws are superseded, then must I strike from out the night and scourge contamination from my being. For I am love and I am freedom unto all my parts, but no part shall bind me to destruction. So as in times gone past, I wreak my wrath, I cleanse my house, I upset my creations, for none shall be above me. And I have been saying a lot of this for a very long time. So that's why I really like his work. Again, I don't agree with a lot of this stuff, but when it comes to the channeling work, and when it comes to the densities and stuff, it does make sense. For me, it makes a lot of sense. And there's other people that are along the same lines with him. The channel work is absolutely phenomenal. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to bring this book forward, because of those. Again, resonate with what you will and think of what you will, because again, and we all are allowed to have our perceptions. So I hope you guys enjoyed this Council of Seven Lights by George Van Tassel. Next time we will tackle chapter 4, Trinity of Infinity. That should be very interesting. So I hope all of you enjoy the rest of your week. If you guys are free tomorrow, I may make an appearance on the Time Is Now podcast that is on Rumble. I might be on tomorrow, spreading my wisdom and my joy and whatever we want to talk about, because it's a group of amazing people. Jason's usually on with them on Mondays, and I'm going to be having a little guest appearance hopefully tomorrow. We'll see what happens, but please tune in 8 p.m. Eastern. I would love to see all of you come and just say hi and see the community that I belong to, if you're outside of that paradigm. They're incredible people. And yeah, my first time on a show that I'm actually talking. So we'll see if that transpires. I will keep all of you in my thoughts and thinkings when I'm talking to my higher self and having a spiritual roundtable with my ascended masters, guides, angels, and archangels, and the whole collective up there that manifests some kind of intelligence through me. So guys, sending each and every one of you love, light, protection, and shielding. Please make sure you go out and ground. Make sure you're taking care of yourself. Make sure you are allowing and forgiving and just being the beautiful lighthouses that all of you are. Until the next one, guys, again, I'm sorry for not being able to come on yesterday and Monday. I was taking a personal Remembrance Day for 9/11. It's a lot. So I should be back on the horse, making lots of creations. I'm going to be taking pictures and trying to find a site to have a store. So if you are interested in any one of my creations, I'm making more of them before I have to start custom making. These are all custom made. But I know I already got, I posted this on Facebook. I don't have a stand for this thing. I would have to imagine there has to be a stand I have to look for online so that I can have a stand. It's heavy, it's thick. But a lot of people like, oh, I like that. I'm gonna make a bunch more so that when the store is up and ready to go, there could be more that, you know, each individual is different, but they'll be more, they won't just be the one. Right, the same thing with the pyramids. I'm going to be making just generic ones. Some people ask for certain aspects. I'm going to come up and do my thing. But anywho, just wanted to put that out there. I'm making a bunch of stock so that there's multiple things to check out. I'm also going to make some candles. Going to get better looking keychains, I promise. This is just a test run. Ring holders and all kinds of other stuff. So hold on tight. That is on its way. If you're interested, I have to keep myself afloat somehow as I am looking to see what is out there in Matrix Jobland. But until the next time, guys, love and light, be good, and I'll see you in the next one.